Hello everyone, it's me, Captain Blueberry Buckaroo, aka Lancer737, and as a warm-up, I've decided I'm going to do a reading of a story that you may not be aware of. It's a story, a Harry Potter story, that was written by a computer. And lately, people have been experimenting with using AIs and computers for making stories for movies and novels and stuff like that. Some of them have been successful, and this one is successful too. But not exactly for the reasons that it should be. It's a dark comedy, unintentionally, well, semi-unintentionally, because humans are still required to help the story be made by the AI computer, but it still formulated all the events that the person could pick from, because when they made it, they scanned in all the novels that had existed before for Harry Potter. And so, going through all that, it formulated the story. And the story is Harry Potter and the portrait of what looked like a large pile of ash. Sounds ominous, because it is. Okay, the chapter is The Handsome One. And we will begin now. The castle grounds snarled with a wave of magically magnified wind. The sky outside was a great black ceiling, which was full of blood. Yeah, full of blood. Nothing creepy about that. Only sounds drifting from Hagrid's hut was the disdainful shrieks of his own furniture. He bought it at Target, the worst place to buy furniture. Magic. It was something that Harry Potter thought was very good. I'm glad that he thought it was very good because, this takes place after all the other stories. If he just now came to that conclusion, well, at least he just now came to that conclusion because he's been a wizard for a really long time. You're a wizard, Harry. Leathery sheets of rain lashed at Harry's ghost as he walked across the grounds towards the castle. Ron was standing there and doing a kind of frenzied tap dance because he's Irish and part leprechaun. He saw Harry and immediately began to eat Hermione's family. Okay. Just so you know, apparently Ron is a cannibal. Ron's shirt was just as bad as Ron himself. Ron's shirt, eh? I'm guessing he has a shirt that's magic like those pictures, and it's still him, and they talk to each other. One is Ron, and the other is Ron. Hello, Ron. Hi, Ron. If you two can't clump happily, I'm going to get aggressive, confessed the reasonable Hermione. Because that's the response that you would have if you saw one of your friends eating your family. What about Ron magic? Offered Ron. Ron magic! To Harry, Ron was a loud, slow, and soft bird. Harry did not like to think about birds. It doesn't explain why. Well, maybe because his owl died, I don't know. Death Eaters are on top of the castle, Ron bleated, quivering. Ron was going to be spiders. Makes sense. He just was. He was proud of that. But it was going to be hard to not have spiders all over his body after all is said and done. That is pretty creepy. Look, said Hermione. Obviously, there are loads of Death Eaters in the castle. Let's listen in on their meetings. Because she has a deep voice in this story. It's a weird story, if you can't tell by now. The three complete friends zapped onto the landing outside the door of the castle roof. They almost legged in. Okay, but witches are not climbing. Ron looked at the doorknob and then looked at Hermione with searing pain. I think it's closed, he noticed. Locked, said Mr. Staircase, the shabby-robed ghost. They looked at the door, screaming about how closed it was, and asked it to be replaced with a small orb. The password was Beef Woman. Hermione cried, Beef Woman! Harry, Ron, and Hermione quietly stood behind a circle of Death Eaters who looked bad as opposed to looking fabulous. I think it's okay if you like me, said one Death Eater. Thank you very much, replied the other. The first Death Eater confidently leaned forward to plant a kiss on his cheek. Oh, well done, said the second as his friend stepped back again. All the other Death Eaters clapped politely. Then they all took a few minutes to go over the plan to get rid of Harry's magic. That's something I never expected ever to see or hear a Death Eater do. Just minding their own business and kissing each other. That's especially with people that are psychotic and trying to kill a lot of people. That's definitely not something. Could you just imagine that happening in a movie? Harry and them are sneaking up on Death Eaters, and they're just standing there in those weird-looking, exotic, giant-pointed hats, and they're like, oh, kiss me, I'm a Death Eater, I want to learn what love is. They all are just clapping. Never mind, I'm gonna move on. Harry could tell that Voldemort was standing right behind him. He felt a great overreaction. Harry tore his eyes out from his head and threw them into the forest. Because that's what you do. True story. In the original cut of Star Wars, Luke Skywalker was by the Millennium Falcon, and Darth Vader's like, I am your father. And Luke just ripped his own eyes out and threw him into the elevator. And he's like, crisis averted. And Darth Vader's, man, me cutting your arms off must have really screwed up your head. You're gonna need some medication now and some new eyes. Good thing we have cyborgization existing here. Well, I guess they have it here in Harry Potter, too. You could have some crazy, like, you can have two of those magic crazy eyes that, what was it? He was like a detective, witch hunter. He was Semi in the fourth movie. It wasn't really him. Spoiler alert, that wasn't really him in the movie that was helping Harry Potter. It was, Doctor Who, pretending to be a good person, pretending to be a witch hunter, pretending to be Harry Potter. Too bad Harry Potter wasn't pretending that he ripped his own eyes out just because Voldemort was behind him and threw them into the woods. Because what good is that going to do you when someone that wants to kill you is behind you? I don't know. Maybe the scene before was just too much for him and he just couldn't take it anymore. I mean, let's be real. Voldemort also looks pretty weird, and he kind of looks like the main villain from the first season of Buffy. I might have done the same thing. Moving on. Voldemort raised his eyebrows at Harry, who could not see anything at the moment. Voldemort! You are a very bad man, a mean wizard! Harry's played by Arnold Schwarzenegger now. Harry savagely said. Hermione nodded encouragingly. The tall Death Eater was wearing a shirt that said, Hermione has forgotten how to dance. So Hermione dipped his face in mud. That's pretty reasonable at this point. Ron threw a wand at Voldemort, and everyone applauded. Ron smiled. Ron reached for his wand slowly. What? Ron is the biggest... No, Harry's still the biggest idiot now. Ron's the handsome one, muttered Harry as he reluctantly reached for his... They cast a spell or two, and jets of green light shot out at the Death Eaters' heads. Ron flinched. Not so handsome now, thought Harry as he dipped Hermione in hot sauce. Because Hermione is part chicken nugget. The Death Eaters were dead now. That works. That fits the theme. Harry was hungrier than he had ever been. So he ate Hermione. I mean, it's possible at this point. Ron ate Hermione's family, so why not? The great hall was filled with incredibly moaning chandeliers, and a large librarian had decorated the sinks with books about masonry. Mountains of mice exploded. Wow. I would hate to be the guy who has to clean all that up. Several long pumpkins fell out of it's something Scottish. It fell out of something Scottish. It fell out of McDonald's. Dumbledore's hair scooted next to Hermione as Dumbledore arrived at school. The pig of Hufflepuff pulsed like a large bullfrog. Dumbledore smiled at it and placed his hand on its head. "You are hanged now." And there was great applauding as the pig was hanged now. "You are Hagrid! Hagrid the pig! You are Hagrid now!" The original Hagrid was fired, and he went on to become a James Bond villain. We're the only people who matter. He's never going to get rid of us, Harry, Hermione and Ron said in choirs. The floor of the castle seemed like a large pile of magic. Yeah, that's normal. The Dursley had never been to the castle, and they were not about to come in there in Harry Potter and the portrait of what looked like a large pile of ash. Harry looked around and then fell down the spiraling staircase for the rest of the summer. He fell down a staircase for the rest of for the whole summer? Is Harry... He's probably going to die anyway when he ripped his own eyes out, but if he wasn't dead from that, he's going to definitely die from that. "I'm Harry Potter," Harry began yelling. "The dark arts better be worried, oh boy." Yes, the dark arts need to be worried of a guy that ripped his own eyes out at the first sight of danger and then fell down a staircase for an entire summer. It makes a whole lot of sense. Anyway, that is the story of Harry Potter and the portrait of what looked like a large pile of ash, and I hope you guys found it amusing. I'll post a link in the description. I hope you guys are having a good July. Take it easy.